Alright, so today we're going to be talking about a good way to either recoup some of your money or basically turn a loss into not really a game, but like a neutral setting. What we're doing today is uh, we had a sheep die at our farm. And for you guys, it could be anywhere from, predation, it could be a sickness, it could just be old age, it could be birthing complications. There's a whole list of things of why you might have lost an animal. But what we're doing here is going to try and recover a little bit of the value. Um, what we should have done on this one here is we should have skinned her. It would have made this process a little bit easier. But what we're going to be doing is we are going to clean the skeleton, and we're going to you can do just skulls. You can clean and prepare skulls for people for collections, but a full skeleton, if you can do a complete skeleton, is going to be a lot greater value um, uh, monetarily and for collectors. So there's different ways you can do this. Some people use dermestid beetles, which are probably the best to use. What we've done here is, where I live here in the southeast, we have black soldier flies that are wild, and they're a little black, look like a wasp. They lay eggs in here, and then the larvae eat on the carcass, and then basically go through their life cycle. There's tons of videos on BFLs black soldier flies, but so I won't get all into the great benefits of black soldier flies. But this is a sheep. I'm going to flip this cage over. The reason also we put it in a cage, since it is outdoors, we don't want coyotes or other things to tear up the carcass. We also have free-ranging chickens that would try and eat the larvae and whatnot. So, and this also make sure all the bones stay in one nice tidy spot. So I'm going to flip this over. So this is a little plastic tarp. We put it on. We should have skinned it. Now, great thing, depending on what it is you're processing, either sheep pelt or a sheep or a goat or whatever, is if you skin it right after it dies, you could actually have another value-added product where you sell a tanned hide. You can actually skin it, roll it up, put it in your freezer, and then take it to a tannery, or you can watch a YouTube video and tan it yourself. But it would make this process a lot easier because the bugs don't really eat the skin, and so what it does is it creates a really hard shell over the body. If you notice here, the bugs did eat over the rib cage. They've ate all the insides, but the skin has created this rock hard. So what we're gonna have to do is this to make this the next step for this process is we're going to have to take her, and it's called maciation. Sorry. It's called maciation. Basically what we're going to do is we're going to take her entire carcass, put her in a tub, fill it with water, submerge her in water. We can also add a little bit of baking soda to accelerate the process. But basically, it's going to be little microbes that are going to eat and dissolve this flesh or the skin off the bone, and we'll go from there. So what we'll do, now when you put her in, Now you also don't have to, yeah, it's part of the tarp. So you don't have to worry too much about, you don't want to break the bones, but it's also, you're not going to hurt her. So do the best you can. I'll have to rework it some, loosen it up. But you get her in here, submerge her with water, a little baking salt or baking soda, let her sit for a couple months. What we did is we cleaned out a bigger tub, since obviously she won't fit in the smaller one. We're gonna transfer her over. And then here's one of her horn sheaths. Not sure what part that is. Here's her tail bones. And I'm just gonna dump. Alrighty, so if we were to, like I said, if we were to skin her out, we really probably wouldn't have to do this process at all, because the bugs would have ate all the meat. But it's pretty good for showing as an alternative. Or if you find stuff in the woods and it's kind of like this, you can, this will show you what to do. So now what we're going to do is completely submerge her. Now, depending on your bins, you can submerge, as long as you cover the main body portion. What'll happen is, like with these legs, like if you wasn't tall enough to completely cover the legs, what you could do is the water will weaken, and eventually especially it'll weaken at the joints, and the legs will kind of collapse inwards over time, and then they'll start going to work. So you don't have to completely submerge a carcass for the emaciation. As long as you do the majority of it, the bones and things will start breaking apart and falling apart, and things will start settling down in. Eventually what's going to happen is, when we're done with this, all the bones will be like evenly down at the bottom, which we'll show you in a minute on another animal. So last step is I'm going to cover this with water and show you. Going. Alrighty, so depending on how you had the carcass being cleaned, you are going to have some bugs that are going to come to the surface. If you found this out in the woods or something, you would, if it was a deer or what have you, you might have ants, you might have spiders, you might have whatever that was used in the cavity as a home. You might have that, so you can either sift them out or let them drown, depending on how you feel about bugs. Yeah, so it's kind of best to get some of this pine straw and things out, just because it's gonna make it easier come pulling the bones out, because the pine straw won't decompose that fast. So when you're getting bones out, you're gonna have tons of these little pine straw pieces that are gonna be a pain to sift through. The water's going to be a bit cloudy because there's just so much stuff in there, but that's alright. Yeah, and you don't want to cover this. Another thing is, since I'm in the southeast, even in the winter months, this process is going to work fine. Way up north, if this thing freezes over, obviously the microbes aren't going to be able to eat if it freezes over. So any of your projects that are being emaciated, you're going to have to bring into a shop or something, and the microbes will still work. All they really need is warmth. From what I understand, they don't really need sunlight. They just need warmth to work. So just bring them indoors. If they do need sunlight, you could get a little plant light to put on it, but it just depends on your climate. But here, I've run them through the winter and they've done fine because we don't get many freeze days or days where it freezes up, and normally it's just surface ice, not solid blocks. Now, if you look closer in, you'll see that there was a spider running around, and a bunch of bugs are starting to crawl up to the surface of the animal, which is alright. Now, emaciation is going to take a couple months. It's a lot of... now, you can actually do a full carcass emaciation, well, although I wouldn't recommend it because, one, it would take forever, and two, it would just be a huge slush pile down at the bottom when you empty out the bucket. So normally you're going to want... The very best steps would be to skin the animal, then have bugs clean it. You don't have to emaciate it like in water. If it's skinned and bugs eaten, then it's just straight cleaning the bones and peroxiding them. So, which we'll do on another video. Another thing you're gonna have to worry about is this is already kind of an older tub. It's got some cracks, so water weighs a lot. So you do have to keep in mind that, you know, for the next couple months this is gonna be full of water. So you don't want to completely fill it up and then it busts the walls out and give you a huge mess. So we'll probably call this good. We'll let it cover the chest cavity at least, but after that we're gonna call it good. Like I said, it'll all settle down in a week or two. You will get bubbles and stuff because there is air trapped in the carcass, so don't worry about that. Alright, yeah, so we're going to pull it out. Alright, so now it's just a waiting game.